Hello people, I am Jaby, and today we're going to talk about Deadpool. Right out of the bat. That's what I want to say. Not right out of the gate, not right off the bat, right out of the bat. I like this movie a lot. I thought it was really awesome. I didn't really know what to expect. I was a little apprehensive after the trailers because having seen so many good trailers and then, seeing the movie and not being as happy with the film, especially something like this where you got a character who's super jokey and constantly making remarks and sarcastic, it could get old really fast, and that was my biggest fear walking into this, was like, how are they gonna pull this off? I might get tired of this after 20 minutes. But I gotta tell you, it had me on my toes the whole time. I was laughing from almost start to finish. Right at the very beginning with the opening credits, I was like, this is so cool how they're completely making fun of the thing we see over and over again. It's completely breaking the fourth wall, as Deadpool does, even with the credits. And it had a really creative opening shot with the bullet time thing. I was happy from the very beginning. And normally I'm not into potty humor, and I guess I was just expecting it with Deadpool. It worked for me, and it made me laugh a lot, especially the little bit with Ryan Reynolds and the small hand. It was like creepy looking, but it was still entertaining. A lot of other people had apprehension about Ryan Reynolds playing Deadpool and whether or not he'd be able to pull it off. Don't get mad at me for saying this, but I think Ryan Reynolds pulled off Deadpool better than Christian Bale pulled off Batman. In my opinion, that's just how I feel. I'm sorry if you guys don't agree with me, but I thought Ryan Reynolds did a really good job. I can't picture anybody else being Deadpool. Not that I'm the most versed on Deadpool's origins. Just from what my limited knowledge is, I thought that he did a good job. I can't picture anybody else in Hollywood right now unless you went for a completely unknown person, which wouldn't happen. Ryan Reynolds is the best pick, and I think that he pulled it off. I think that he was really funny, and in moments where he had to be real, he was real and genuine. I felt for him. In particular, that one scene when he was sitting pensive at the edge of the bed and his girl calls him into the bed and she goes, "What's wrong?" And he goes, "I had a nightmare about Liam Neeson and Taken and there being another movie." 3 movies of those, it's obvious he's just a bad parent. Whatever that line was, that was a great example of, it's not what you're saying, it's how you say it. It's not what you're saying, but how you're feeling, the subtext beneath what you're saying. And it's hard to find such an obvious example. And an obvious example can only be present in a movie like this, where you've got a character who's saying the most completely off-the-wall things all the time. So he's saying this thing that's completely out of left field, which is totally typical of Deadpool, and it makes it easier to see what's going on internally. I love that. And it's the perfect example of not what you're saying, but how you say it. That's an example I'm gonna reference to people for years to come now. Real moments peppered throughout Deadpool was really necessary, because you can't just have a jokey character. You can't just have a character who's cracking wise remarks all the time and feel for him. What makes you feel for him are those moments where you see him in pain, where you see him being real, where you see him actually have feelings, and you're like, whoa, this guy, there's a real person beneath this. That makes him much more likable and relatable. I wasn't expecting all of that. That aside, the directing, I felt, complemented the writing, which had a non-linear story structure. It moved things around to keep things more interesting. I think that's the best way to tell an origin story at this point in time, instead of the linear going through the paces of how everything got started and having to connect each scene to the next. It's like telling it in this fashion allowed us to jump past boring bits, allowed us to just stay on our toes the whole time and keep us entertained the entire time. Right from the get-go, we're thrown into the middle of the action, and then we jump back and forth a little bit, and we're caught up to the present moment. I think that was really cool. If you were to put it in linear order, I guarantee it would not have been as interesting. Anywhere nearly as interesting. I thought the dialogue was really good. I'm sure there was some improv in there, because you had some really talented actors in there. There were some bits that were like a little cliche, but it was forgivable. Going back to the directing, I thought there was a lot of cool moments in there, especially that opening shot. That opening shot was really cool. We haven't seen a bullet time shot in a long time, and it's most forgivable in a movie like this, where they're using the song X Gonna Give It To Ya. You're allowed to do anything you want in a movie like this, and he did one of the coolest bullet time shots ever. It would have been even cooler if it wasn't CGI, but I still respect it. The only thing I didn't like with regards to the directing, and I don't know, maybe it's someone else's fault, but the fight scenes were kind of shoddy to me. It's like, I couldn't quite see what was happening all the time, especially the fight scene towards the end on the ship. It's like, okay, something's happening. I still have a sense as to who's fighting who and who's the good guy and who's the bad guy. I wanted to enjoy and appreciate the choreography. There were so many cool moves in this movie. Like all the acrobatic stuff that Deadpool was doing. It was beautiful. I wanted to appreciate the fight choreography just as much as I appreciated the acrobatics in the film, and I couldn't just because I couldn't see it. I saw a complaint that the bad guy was kind of weak. I guess I would have to agree with that. I was so overwhelmed at everything else that was awesome in the movie that I didn't really have time to even consider that. I guess the bad guy could have been better, but his sidekick, the beefy girl, she was awesome. I liked her. I'm looking at my phone to look at the cast here. Brianna Hildebrand, who played Negasonic Teenage Warhead, she was cool, and I like the little exchanges that she had with Deadpool, especially the first moment where Deadpool was like, "So are you gonna be mean, or are you gonna be the silent type?" And she's like, "You got me in a box here." That was such a funny fucking moment. I liked it a lot. I thought T.J. Miller did a good Weasel. I didn't like him in the trailer for some reason. His one-liners, but in the film, in the full context of things, I enjoyed T.J. Miller. Morena Baccarin plays Vanessa, the main woman. She is beautiful. I had a hard time paying attention to the movie at one point. I'm just like kind of enveloped in her, like her features, the way Deadpool was enveloped in her. Karan Soni, who plays Dopinder, the taxi driver, he was funny. Jed Reese, the recruiter. I first learned who he was in Galaxy Quest. That guy is so funny. He is so good. I really like him a lot. I am so glad he was in this film, and I love that they kept calling him Agent Smith. So Gina Carano is the girl who plays Angel Dust. She's awesome. I like her a lot. I'm not gonna lie. If I saw her at a bar, I would totally walk up to her and then keep going because I would be afraid to talk to her. Colossus was probably my favorite character in that movie besides Deadpool because he's so honorable. And he tries so hard to be this good guy in his Russian accent. And he's huge, and everything's just very simple, but he's not dumb. He's not a dumb, beefy guy like we always see. We always see the big guy who's stupid. He's not stupid, he's an honorable guy, and he is that to a T, true and true to his core. From start to finish, that's who he is. And I like that. I thought that was really cool. I like his character quite a bit. He made me laugh. I think the cast was great. I can't think of anyone I would have wanted to replace except for maybe the main bad guy. Looking back on it now, the main bad guy, I guess he could have been better, given the fact that you've got this awesome main character. It felt a little unbalanced with such a stoic, cardboard bad guy. What could you have done that would have been better, really? Overall, it was a very well-produced movie. The only two things I have a problem with is the fight scenes, like I said, and some of the CGI was just really obvious CGI. I was forgiving of it because the movie as a whole was just really entertaining. I liked it a lot, and I would watch it again. I hope you guys liked it also. Comment below, let me know your thoughts, things you didn't like, things you did like, and let's get a discussion going back and forth in the comments. If you haven't already, please subscribe and check out our other movie reviews, trailer reactions, short films, and game playthroughs. I am Jaby. Thanks again. Peace out.